Okay. Record. Um, Jane. Hello, hello. This is great. I put the right time this time. Oh, I gotta. Hello, hello. Oh, Brady Brewer. Nice to meet you, Devin. Nice to see you. How's everybody do? I think my audio is working.
I hear you loud and clear. I'm so stoked to be here, and you have a little surprise in your Instagram inbox.
Oh, yeah?
True
Oh,
gem. True gem.
oh wow. Okay. Cool. Nice. I love some gem surprises. Uh, very cool. Maybe we'll just wait. Anybody, just while we're waiting to see if anyone else is gonna join. I know that Mick can't make it this time and Jamie can't. Um, but so while we're waiting to see if anybody else can jump in, anything from this week that from the last session that kind of hit for you? It was pretty big. It was a pretty killer session with Alex in the hall. That's super cool. Let's see here. Or maybe we could get Brady too to introduce yourself, man. I'd love to know more about you, how you jumped on here.
Yeah, what's going on, Neil? Hello, everybody.
Hi.
I received the invitation from Devin here. Let me know you guys were doing this, and I was excited about it because I listened to this book in 2020,
Oh wow.
and so I'm really excited to be listening to it again with the experience that I've had the last few years. Right, so checking in from Bend, Oregon. I'm an entrepreneur, really excited to meet you all and be here.
Cool, man. Super stoked to hear. So stoked that you invited some people. Devin, that's the second person. You're up. You got 2 points on the board for bringing people into this experience. I love that personally. If anyone else knows anybody who you feel would benefit from these conversations, please, by all means, surprise me with them. Just bring them along. You don't have to this is not a permission based experience. Um, Philip, nice to see you, man.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, cool. Nice. This is killer. We got a couple new people coming through. This is very exciting. Alexis, nice to see you.
Hello, nice to see you too.
Nice. Great. Were you on another call too?
I was on the one not last week, but the week before. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
And
I couldn't unmute myself. I was on my phone and I was like, ah. Zoom calls on your phone, it's just tough. So,
I know it's like, okay, it's so close to,
hmm
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm happy I got my computer, easy access. We're gonna get into
Nice,
it.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. So we have like Devin's cohort then. That's what I feel like. I feel like that's so fan. I am vibing on that. I love that. Um, I
That brings
love the
good people to
leadership.
the table. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Mhm.
Gateway. Gateway for transformation. The man, Devin. It's fantastic. Okay, so why don't we just dive into this since if anyone else shows up or anybody's listening on the live stream, they can just pop in and we can kind of see where we go. I think everyone here pretty much except Brady. Have you seen any of the previous kind of episodes or sessions, Brady? No?
No, I have not. I did tune into the audiobook to catch up to where y'all are at though.
Okay, word. Okay, cool. Well, just kind of a recap. Usually what I do is I'll read some of the chapter and I go pretty slow through it because I find this book to be just like what I call like a quantum book. Like there's so many layers to it. You can just kind of like see really deeply into the book. Like one sentence can just have a huge amount of impact, and it's easy to skip over them. Like you can read a sentence and be like, yeah, cool, I got that. And then, but if you kind of stop and really unpack it, well, it turns into us sometimes it's like a 20-minute conversation that just spreads it into a lot of other things, a lot of things start to emerge, which is what I love about speaking with high functioning people is you just can extrapolate so much from a small amount of information, which is so cool to me, especially in an information age where we just kind of, do we need all that information or can we really dig into a little bit of information? And just as kind of a precursor to this chapter, or also just for Brady's sake too, yeah, totally. It's such intelligent conversation. I love it because I can just kind of sometimes step back and just watch it morphing. I consider this book, I think this is a mistitled book in the best possible sense. I kind of consider it to be a prosperous person book. So even though it's governed towards coaching, I feel like there's so many things that you can, so many ways you can relate it to other parts of your life and other professions. And I kind of consider that coaching to be kind of the glue in different industries. So you can still use those skills in all different ways and in all different types of relationships. So with that being said, I just want to share this book here. Once I figure out how to do it, you think I'd have this figured out by now? And I think that this first part is really potent. I think someone might be trying to jump into this. Your clients are paying for their dreams, and their dreams are priceless. So I think that Dennis wants to jump in into this. Uh, so I think that this is I was thinking about just these two sentences yesterday when I was making the PDF copies for this, and I thought this was just a profound statement in general to think about life. Like people's dreams, it's like if you want to be really crazy about it, you could say that people are paying for their dreams with their life. And that their life is priceless. So when we're engaging with each other, just in any situation, this whole thing is a dream. Like if you're into the three principles concepts, then this whole thing is a dream. And we're paying for this dream that we're living in with our lives, with our energy and our time and our emotion. And that is an invaluable process. It's impossible to put a price tag on it. And I think that just kind of that hopefully what kind of sets the stage of all of the work that you do, even if it's like, I always use these cheesy metaphors, but even if you were selling a vacuum, like this whole thing goes together to make something so much bigger. So with that being said, this chapter is about the struggling coach or the struggling person. So not understanding the 3 levels of engagement will result in one thing only, a struggling coach. Or insert whatever word you want there for coach. A coach who says that they want clients but have a few or none. A coach who says they want a 6-figure income but who is afraid to charge for coaching. A coach who wants to coach clients but has never been bold enough to invest in their own coaching. Learning to understand and apply the distinctions in this book, and you will never be a struggling coach. If anybody has Dennis on your Facebook, just while I'm doing this, and you have access to the registration link, can you send it to him? Just because I want to be able to read this, I kind of want to be able to facilitate it at the same time, so I would be hugely.
I'm happy to do it, Neil. I'll do it. I'll take it on.
Rasha, thank you very much.
Okay.
So learn to understand and apply the distinctions in this book, and you will never be a struggling person. Here are some powerful contrasts and distinctions that we see between struggling coaches and those part-time, and personal growth coaches who are thriving. The struggling coach wants to coach anyone and everyone. They are afraid to ask for money. They want to wait until everything is perfect before they charge for coaching. They spend their time, energy, and money on getting the word out. They think that marketing is essential in order to sign clients. So I kind of find that this is like a big, fat paragraph. And I don't think it's just a big one for coaching. I think that this happens to us in so many different situations in our life. This fear to ask for money, a fear to get paid for what we do, desire to wait for everything to be perfect before we say what we need to say or get what we are valuing, and also spending a lot of time and energy on kind of the general overview in life, like which might be something like our reputation to like the people that we don't know, rather than kind of what's right in front of us with our friends, family, potential clients that are right kind of like in our face. There's kind of this, I find at least, this little bit of kind of disillusionment about your most immediate connections and network. And I find that that's true even just kind of in friendships. And just before I go any further, does anybody want to weigh in on any of that kind of stuff? Does it connect with you? Want to weigh in on any of that kind of stuff? Does it connect with you? Want to weigh in on any of that kind of stuff? Does it connect with you? Want to weigh in on any of that? Where's that coming from? Where was that coming from?
Mix.
It was the new guy.
Dennis, nice to have you.
Sorry for the loop of death.
I was like, wow, we're it's a feedback into eternity right here.
One of those dark matter parallel universes.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Over there, you would be Gray Neil, and you'd be like a knight.
Well, thanks for joining us, Dennis. So what we're basically doing right now is we're just going through some of this chapter, and just kind of join in, and I'm sure that you'll pick it up as we kind of move through it.
Thank you for having me. Hi, group.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Heck yeah, man. Thanks for coming.
Neil, we can see your emails rather than the
Oh, geez. Thank you.
that wasn't there before, but yeah.
Like this, is that better? Does that make more sense? Maybe if I put this here, 'cause then you guys don't see yourselves like a bunch of times too. I'm doing really well with technology, as you can see.
It was me. I created a rift in the cosmos.
Yeah, I started discombobulate my experience. I'm like, I want Dennis in here. How do I do this? How do I get such an amazing energy into this place?
Wait, what is going on? Is anyone else got Dennis's name as Rasha as well? There's two Rashas in the call.
It's
You
because
know-
I gave him my Zoom link. I gave him my Zoom link thinking it was just a Zoom link, but obviously Zoom is super intelligent and it creates personal links,
Oh,
which
wow.
I didn't realize.
That happened.
You know, yin and yang. Maybe I'm the yang Russia.
Yes, well, that's exactly.
Masculine. That happened between Nick Bettini and I. We went onto a conversation and like a coaching call, and somehow I was the host of the conversation and I was Nick. And we laughed about that for quite a while. We were both Nick Bettini. Okay, so let's kind of go a little bit further with this to see if we can find something that creates some synergy here. The pro coach is committed to coaching no matter what. Failure doesn't stop them. They are not embarrassed by their mistakes. There's no turning back. So I don't know about you guys, but I could probably attach that to everything that I really care about in life. With my close family, with my career, with my coaching, everything. The things that are professional in my life, there really is no failure. Part-time coaches learn to love their full-time job. It's what brings in cash to allow them to do the coaching they love in their spare time. So my mind kind of looks at that, and I can look at cash as energy. So there's definitely things in my life that I do part-time. I don't do them full-time. Like one of the things I love to do is religious comparative studies. I'm not fixed to any particular religion, but I just love to learn about all of them. It kind of brings a certain energy to everything else that I do. And I do it in my spare time. It's not something that I pursue as a PhD, but I dig it. The personal growth coach loves coach trainings and readings and seminars as ways to deepen their understanding of life, business, money, health, and relationships. So I'm going to just stop it there. And I want to know, so I can see you guys again. What do you guys think about these three processes? Rasha. Oh God, that was cool. That was like,
Yeah.
Rasha, then.
Kate did the professional way and I use the analog way. But yeah, I guess it's nice to kind of there's okay, I see it as three positives and one negative, which is the pro, the part-time, and there's an element of like just acceptance with those, like once you accept which ones you choose within that, be proud of that and do it and do it with love. And the struggling one hasn't got it quite right yet, that's how I see it. And annoyingly, I see myself as the struggling coach, but I'm definitely not going to stay there. But when they were talking about the struggling coach does this, I was like, okay, I do that. Okay, I do that. Okay, but the pro coach, okay, I want to do that. So like it's kind of quite useful. But there is an element of like when you're a struggling coach, or like when you start, so to speak, because I also think that this is the start of my journey, that you just kind of have to do loads of things to figure out where you want to go. And so again, I'm going to be kind to myself and allow myself to go through that journey until I choose either the pro or the part-time or whatever. That's how I see it.
I think that's beautiful. I think that's an amazing rendering. Yes, let's 100%. Kate, let's move it along. Let's see what you have to say too.
Absolutely resonating with your words, Russia. And I'm a part-time coach, and I say that sort of more proudly than I might have said it, because for a while I was wanting to be a full-time coach and thought that being a part-time coach was a fail, and choosing to stay in the day job. So I love that bit about I'm learning to love my day job. And Nick talked to me last week about actually be quite matter of fact about it. Let your day job bankroll, was his word, a bankroll your coaching, so that there's less nervousness for me. And so yeah, I'm happy to sit with that. And in the same way that actually I spoke to somebody the other day, and he said, I'm a full-time coach, and I've learned to be curious. What's full-time for you? I said. He's like, I work 1 day a week, but that's his full-time because that's what he wants to do. So I'm a full-time coach, his story, and he works 1 day a week. Because that's all that he wants to work. So they're his full-time. So it's about being curious, isn't it? About, well, what is full-time? What is part-time? And being okay with whatever you choose. So that yeah, that was, because there's an assumption, isn't there? I assume that full time would be 37.5 hours in UK world, but no, it can be whatever you want it to be. So my full-time job is like about 30 hours, and my coaching job is about 10 hours. And then I was looking at all the other things I do part-time. When I swim part-time, and I don't beat myself up about that. And I spend some time with my mum. So it doesn't feel inadequate to do that. It feels just right. So it's that whole what's just right. So I love that whole the part-time coach thing, that I'm really comfortable in that place. And it might always be that actually there is no full-time or part-time. It's just what it is.
I absolutely love that. And I really need to speak to some of those things in there. Because as you guys have as I've said before, I spent a lot of time studying at millionaire and billionaire people. People have accrued a lot of wealth. And one of the big kind of frames of reference that's different for people who accrue a lot of wealth is value of time. Whereas somebody who works, like you were saying, like a full-time job to you would be 40 hours a week. And then the whole matrix of value is based on how many hours you work and how much money is made per hour in that situation. And that's a whole system of thinking. You could even go further and say it's a whole system of manifestation. Like, I need to work this amount of time, and that's going to bring me this money, and those things equate to me producing this thing I've manifested. Whereas people who kind of move out of that system do exactly what you're saying, Kate, is that you could make $10,000 in an hour, and that's full time. And then because that 1 hour was extremely potent, you made one extremely important decision in that hour, and it shifted everything that happened in your company or in your family or in your personal life. It's like Warren Buffett says, if you can make 1 or 5 good decisions a year, you're like, holy man, you're ahead of the game. So, and that could be a split-second decision, but the value in that is worth millions of dollars. So, or millions of hours of freedom, or millions of good emotion, or millions of forms of connection, whatever it is. So I think that's great to be able to kind of take it out of that compartmentalization and say, what is part-time? What is full-time? Do you want to switch the whole idea? Do you work 37.5 hours as a part-time job, and then 10 hours as a coach, as a full-time job? Like, who's to say that those perceptive kind of vehicles need to be that, like, they need to follow like a society's idea of it? Because the people who are really prosperous are not following the general kind of theme of how labor is looked at. So I love that. I love Kate. It's explosive.
That society's idea thing. Yeah, I am generalizing. I am, you just kind of brought up with it. Society's expectation, and this is a proper job, and this is a full-time job. And actually, is that true? Doesn't have to be true. Doesn't have to be anything.
Exactly. I 100% agree. And then from that place, you've broken it down to a place where now you can choose where the value comes from and how to get to the value. And you're not hampered by that kind of preloaded idea. I think that's
And defining what even is value.
like you were saying, finding the story.
Yeah,
What's the actual story?
more about time. Yeah, and then it's like, okay, everything's going back to everything's a playground, and it can be, or an experiment. I know me and Jane talk about experiments a lot. Just play with it, and yeah, rewrite everything. Oh, I'm excited.
Totally. I love that. Sounds like there's a lot of wiggle room in there, which is really beautiful. Jane.
Hello, and I think I have a voice.
It's coming back.
That's a new one for a while. Although it's still a little croaky, but that's hay fever. It's interesting because I had one thing to say, and then Rasheen and Kate have come on, and my thinking shifted a little bit, and particularly that thing around full-time coach, because I was always in this head, I'm going to be, because I count myself struggling a little bit at the moment, but I'm going to be a part-time coach because I choose to spend 2 days a week with my grandchildren. I choose to spend a significant amount of my time traveling half an hour to get to the sea, because I don't live right next to it like Kate. I'm very jealous. or 50 minutes in the other direction to get to this amazing lake. But it's kind of like that. I don't know. That whole phrase around full time has just shifted everything, because I had it in my head. I was a part-time menopause educator that I was doing for fun. Never any intention of that being an income generator, but just for fun, really, keeping my education hat in there, if you like. But now I can see things differently. And when I was first looking at that chapter and I was seeing struggling coach, I was labeling myself in a very negative way. But it's struggling because I'm starting out and I'm trying to define what it is I want to do and where I want to go. And that keeps changing for me, because the space, this clarity that I've talked about before, is just dropping in. And these big aha moments are coming in, and it's just changing everything. And I love it. And I keep giving time for that now. And that's awesome. I don't know where I'm going with this, really, except for the fact that I could hear Rasheen and the struggling and not defining them by that. I can hear Kate and the part-time, and actually not owning that either. The money for me is for fun, because I'm retired. Ha ha. But that's my income I live off. So this is because I enjoy it. I love it. And I guess, yeah, there's just been a big shift. When I first read this chapter, I felt labeled. I felt really negative about myself, and I don't quite feel it anymore. So that's where I'm coming from there, I think.
That's fantastic. I love that. Welcome, Layla. I love that, because it's that's what I'm kind of saying about this quantum book, is just, you go in with one lens, and then there's just 360 degrees to look at this thing. And when you're a creative mind, when you have mental flexibility, holy smokes, you can use it in so many different ways to be prosperous, right? Like, what's prosperity to me is value. So if you're finding value,
for me, prosperous actually means that life is, I'm loving living life. So it's not a thing I equate to money. It's a thing I equate to quality of life. What am I getting out of it? What is it giving me? And that's where I see prosperous.
I think that's I 100% agree. And that's why I felt like this book was The Prosperous Person, for that exact reason. I should get you to write the preface. That's fantastic. Not Rush. Dennis.
Well, I like it that you said my name with a laughter in your voice. Jane, you know, you nailed the reason that I love being in this group or being anywhere near any of you guys. And that is you said, I don't really know what I'm thinking. I don't really know what I'm saying. And we have the freedom and we have the acceptance and we have the love in this room to say, no fucking clue. I got no idea what I'm thinking today or where I'm going, but just being able to express those things, you know, and you know, we're talking about the value of our time. And I see after being in Domino and looking forward to Domino 7, looking forward to the next one, is that you guys are some of the busiest people I've ever met in my life. And the fact that I can get Devin Seegers to spend an hour chatting with me, to get Philip, to get, you know, each one of you, we've all done our little one-on-ones and hung out and had a great time. The incredible value and the love and acceptance that you've spoken into my life is why I keep coming back. It's addictive. You know, I just love being with you guys. And I haven't read the book. I'm sure there's lots of great stuff in there. I got to finish my Tom Clancy first, but you know, hey, you got to know how to handle thermonuclear like, you know, events and stuff like that too as a coach. Very important skill. And how to do a dead drop. But anyway, I love you guys and it's great to be here, and I just wanted to say hi, and there's my 2 cents worth, and I'll be lowering my hand now.
That's fantastic, Dennis. Thank you always for supercharging the situation with the real value, which is love and energy and synergy. That's what we want, you know, all this stuff to permeate all of this stuff. If it's just hard-nosed business all the time, I don't think we're really getting at what we're looking for. Devin, the mighty Devin, the curator, the gateway.
What's up, guys? I mean, really, like, how many people have something better than this going on at 2 in the afternoon? Just like, get in here. This is the conversation. Get in here. Yeah, I wanted to share a little distinction that I didn't hear it about time. And I don't know that full time is an effective way of looking at it, but what I saw is commitment levels. And then I also saw this distinction between there's struggling coach, which feels like it's like not just owning and accepting, hey, this is the level of commitment that I would like to play at. I actually want to be over here, but I'm not I'm not actually playing that game. I just want to. I want the results of that, but I'm not actually committed to showing up like that or implementing the strategies of that. So there's a gap. And then there's actually 3 levels. The personal growth, it's like, hey, this is for my own growth and contentment. Part-time, you're not needing to put pressure on it. And then all in and pro coach, like those are the 3 levels of commitment. And it looked like struggling is like just wanting to be somewhere other than you are.
I think you nailed it on the head, man. I think that's especially that concept of, you know, maybe you're in the personal growth spot, but you want to be a pro, but you're not willing to commit and go all in on that. You want the payout, but you don't want to pay out, you know. And I think that's fantastic. And I think that's something that we like. What I hear and what you're saying too is that there's a healthy way to deal with that would be boundaries. To be able to say, like, actually, I have a boundary here. Like, I'm only, like, or not only, but I'm a personal growth person. Or I'm part-time, or I'm full-time. These are my boundaries. These are my healthy boundaries. It's in a level of reality that this is where I'm willing to commit. This is how much time I have for this, or this is how much energy or emotion or curiosity that I have, you know. Like, I'm really curious to be a pro, so I'm going to go at it.
I think one more piece of that, I can't help but see the parallel between music and this, and I know that there's the group that I can bring that to. So it's like, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be in a bar band. And I feel like the struggling musician is the bar band strategy or bar band guy that is like, oh no, but what I actually want is over here. But I don't want to learn how to market or pitch or copyright or like all of those business aspects. So it's like not having an aligned strategy. I'm just gonna pause there.
Oh man, no, keep going. I feel like you were just about to break in. What happened there? Go the whole way, Devin. Come on, spit the fire.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. It's like, are you willing to go all the way? And if that's actually what you want, like I'm celebrating signing a new client the other day, and what he actually wants is to be a rock star. And to own that and to communicate that is an uncomfortable thing around most people.
Mhm.
And to actually commit to that means that you have to learn a bunch of other things. And you have to treat yourself in a very different way and surround yourself with different people and have different standards. And either are fine, like, great, if you want to be a rock star, great. Let's go look at what that happened. That's like, look at the recipe. And if you want to be a bar band, great. Let's look at the recipe for that. But don't fool yourself, because otherwise you'll be the struggling musician, coach, person.
I 100% clarity. I agree with that. And like you're saying, then there's a whole set of parameters. I like that you use the word recipe for it, because it really is a recipe. And if you start trying to be like, okay, well, I want 2 cups of flour from the personal growth one, but I'm going to use the salt from the professional one, you're going to end up with a very strange product that doesn't reflect any of those things that the recipe says it's going to give you, right? It's also funny that you say that, because I was watching this thing just this morning. I was just this brief reel about this guy saying that they were doing a study of people who were millionaires, and they found that it was like people like engineers became millionaires. Strangely enough, teachers became millionaires, and they were like, there was a bunch of what seemed like disparate industries and disparate kind of character profiles to bring me. But kind of as when there was a deeper look into the data, it was recognized that all these different people had to lawyers were another one of them. They all realized that they had to follow some type of system or path and stay on that path. Like as a teacher, to make a curriculum and then like formulate the curriculum and then teach the curriculum and stay within those parameters. Or like with an engineer, there's only certain ways to build a house. Like there's certain kind of like laws to physics. Like you have to stay within those things. With a lawyer, there's the law. Like, so there's kind of like a methodology. And all those different people were able to kind of find success financially because they were already used to knowing this is a distinctive path, this is a distinctive path, and then choosing a path and sticking to it. I think that's kind of what you're saying is like, if you want to be a rock star, there is a path, but you got to make sure you do the rock star path. And I think that's that was just one guy's kind of example, but I thought that was interesting to relate to what you're saying. Is there can be this unreality where we're like, oh well, I can still do what I want to do and become a rock star. Like, no, you gotta take the path, bro. Or twinkle twinkle baby.
Hey, so there's absolutes. A lot of people like to have all this free form thinking and think that there aren't absolutes, but there are. You absolutely have to breathe. You absolutely have to exist, all those things. And the thing that makes it unique about the people that really succeed is their ability to see from a different perspective. If I was to describe what I see in front of me, it would be totally different than what you see in front of you right now. That's reality. That's just where things are. So you're talking about all these people that are all in all these definitive businesses. Engineering is very definitive. It's scientific. The law, people have been laying down the law for a long time. It's got a lot of absolutes. You absolutely have to do this, have to do that. But the thing that makes it really cool for creatives is once they have built that foundation, it's like a house. Once you build the foundation, you can go all kinds of places with that thing. You can have it all be windows. You can have it face east or west or 2 levels. You can have a sub level. You can do all that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of thing that you're talking about right there, is going from those absolutes and then putting your own personal spin on it, your own personal desire, and pursuing that.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Once you got the curriculum, you can start to put the bells and whistles on it. Or once you've got all the, I find this with songwriting and when I'm teaching people songwriting, they want to kind of gravitate away from some of the real essential elements as if they're not important. And I'm like, well, once you get your like 1 to 5 to 1 motion figured out, or like once you figure out these very kind of simple, important, straight ahead elements, and they're solid, then we can add the bells and whistles that make your music unique. And sometimes that can be a little uncomfortable to people because they're fitting into a formula or something. But without
All
that,
starts with 3 chords and the truth, brother.
yeah, exactly. And then a nice shirt or something. So yeah, I 100% agree. Brady.
So I really enjoy thinking about how all of these parts or all of these like identities exist at once in a person. The person can be like someone with a pro coach intention, with a part-time condition, a personal growth habit, and then they can be struggling, right? And it's like what are they struggling with? And what's their draw, or what's their relationship to the wanting, to the having the part-time job, to the studying, right, and to the struggling. And in my experience of my life, I mean, back 10 years ago, like my mantra was like, struggle better. Life is hard. You just got to get better at struggling, you know? And what I've noticed, like on my personal journey of entrepreneurship, is that it's like living as I live into the mystery of my life, like where life takes me, I interact with the mystery of my life that is like stored inside of me. And so that creates a lot of struggles, many struggles in my experience of learning how to be a coach, right? And so that stimulates what there is for me to learn about myself in order to be a coach. And then, and look, like I've been so committed to coaching no matter what, that I've watched my bank account run out of money. I've watched my fridge run out of food. I've left friends and family, and like I've done the thing, right? And the part-time coach learns to love their full-time job. Well, I have a full-time job and I actually do love it because I get to practice the skills of working with my thinking and with my energy and with the way that I interact and communicate with the people that I'm with, and the people that I'm serving. And so it's this really interesting like arena. They say that, or it's been said that other than entrepreneurship or other than relationships, entrepreneurship is perhaps the most powerful arena for personal development. And so for me, like in terms of the flexibility of thinking, I can observe how all of these parts, all these identities exist side by side by side. And then I can also observe how can I put down the flexibility of my thinking in order to organize myself appropriately to become the pro coach that doesn't have a part-time job, who's also not distracted from learning about myself, but who is engaged with learning about business and is no longer struggling. So I'll end it there, but that's kind of what I'm with.
Yeah. Keep coming back. That's deep. That's super deep. And there's a lot. I want to ask some questions. So what I'm hearing from you is, and correct me if I'm wrong, that one of the things that you were unpacking, and I really like what you're talking about, was like this mystery of life and the mystery of yourself, and living into that mystery, and also living into the mystery of yourself, and unpacking all of that stuff kind of firms up your coaching or gives you a good direction with your coaching, or at least that self-discovery is then funneled into your coaching to some degree. Am I hearing you correctly?
Well, absolutely. It's like for we could distinguish what's the difference between a job and a vocation. Well, perhaps a vocation is the gift that you give to the world, right? The vocation is the thing that you like your vocation is what the work that you did on yourself becomes that you then share with others.
And that would be that unpacking that mystery, kind of what you're
So
saying?
that would be like how I learned, what I've created to help myself be successful or be prosperous or be okay or be safe or whatever, to be in right relationship with myself in life. It's like, here's the way I did it. I would love to help you.
Okay, great. Yeah, okay, I hear that. And then you're also kind of saying that you can see these different identities, the part-time, the personal growth, the pro, as all kind of like coagulating around, like they're all within you on different levels. And there's a certain flexibility of being able to move between them and utilize them in different ways. Like you're saying, having a job, like a part-time job, you're saying that fuels your life, and then unpacking those experiences, using them for coaching. And then something I really like what you said was then being able to put down that this is really cool, I thought. Being able to put down that flexibility and then go at something, to be able to say like, okay, I can see all these rotating identities or all these possibilities. And now I'm gonna work with them and recognize them and see clarity, distinguish them, and then go, okay, cool. Now I'm going to kind of go down a specific path. Is that kind of what you're saying? Is that?
Yeah, it's establishing a frame for, well, so establishing the mindset of the pro coach, the frame of the part-time job. What's my relationship to having the part-time job and my intention for leaving the part-time job? And then what space is that creating for me? And so where am I at in my journey? Am I studying the tools that I'm using, or am I studying the structures and systems of how to deliver the tools and use the tools with other people? Because for me, and I keep saying for me, and also it's important to distinguish as entrepreneurs, like the difference between working on and in the business, on the business and in the business. For me, I have absolutely resisted working on the business because it's the most stimulating part of my growth journey with it, right? Is to put it in the world and be in the world. And luckily I'm organized and regulated enough now to engage that part. In any case, to bring it back to your question, it's like, what's the frame? What's the frame? What's the intention? And being super clear and solid on that.
That's so cool, man. Again, I agree. That is the difference between the kind of the struggling person and the prosperous person in whatever kind of situation, that clarity. And I think that speaks to Rasha, you said something earlier that like it's that. Do you see the connect? Just sorry, Devin, just before you jump in, do you see the connectivity between what Brady is saying and what you said earlier in the conversation? I
mean, where I'm taking it is this kind of like element of being, okay, so this is where I'm taking it. Just this element of being kind to yourself. That's how I'm taking, like that's what I'm reading into everything that you said, Brady, in the sense that just having contentment with everything that you're doing, like, being really loving every decision that you're making, like let's just, that flexibility, but also knowing where you want to go and heading for that. That's how I summarize it. And I think that's what I was, I don't, in terms of linking it to what I said, I think it's just that I said having kindness, but what I got from what you were saying, it was the more confident kind of like, I just love everything that I do, and I'm heading that direction, and I'm loving that as well. And here I go, you know?
Cool. I dig that. I dig
Mhm.
that. I dig that.
I
Okay.
love that.
Devin, let's hear what you. And then I'm gonna try and go for it. See, we caught fire. I'm always nervous that we're not gonna catch fire, and then 40 minutes goes, 50 minutes goes by. Oh, I can't hear you for some reason, Devin. Oh, you're muted, my friend.
That might be why. So, I kept having this phrase go through my head as everyone was talking, and it was like, yeah, level of engagement. And I was like, where in the book did it talk about choosing your level of engagement?
Yes.
And I didn't have to go very far because it was the chapter before. And I think that the last conversation, first of all, not everyone was here. And then second of all, we had a great conversation. And I don't necessarily know that it was around choosing your level of engagement. There were some great examples of that. But I love how this is set up to, one, choose your level of engagement. Like, hey, which game do I want to play? Do I want to be pro? Even like regardless of where I am now, I'm going to choose which game I want to play. And it seems like, again, it's like if you don't choose, you will be a struggling coach. And in the next chapter, in the one that we're currently at, I want to highlight this distinction of the pro coach. The pro coach serves people and does not try to please them. And we're in this chapter where it's like, hey, you chose your path. Now look at the facts. And this may not be the kindest feeling thing. It's not always comfortable to look at the truth. And that's true service. So let's say it was someone who chose that they wanted to go from like a hobbyist weekend warrior athlete. Totally cool, respectable. Go for some bike rides, maybe does a Spartan race here and there. And they're like, no, actually, I want to choose a different commitment level and I want to do the Olympics. And they're looking at their life and they're going, okay, well, there are a lot of weak links here that I need to tighten up if I'm going to actually turn pro. And I think that we're in this chapter, which is basically like sitting down with the coach and going, well, let's look at where you're actually at. And let's make the distinction so we can create a clear game plan. Because if you say you want to go play at this level, like, you're going to have to level up. And that might not be kind feeling in the first part, but that's service.
I agree. I 100% agree. It's almost like the book is meta in that sense. It's coaching you about where you're, like Rasha was saying, like, I feel uncomfortable about this chapter. This is shifting some things around in me. It's like, okay, well, if we keep reading and we work together, we're gonna move through these. We're gonna find that self-love. Dennis, I definitely want to hear what you have to say, but I want to move ahead specifically because of what Devin has just said, because we're gonna start to move into these different kind of comparisons here. And then we'll come back. As soon as I figured out how to share my screen. Aha! Okay, so the struggling coach thinks that because they give advice to their friends, they will be successful as a coach. They coach without permission, friends, family, and colleagues, and they cannot distinguish between impactful coaching and unsolicited advice. I think we can all, there's a lot of unsolicited advice too, just in life. I know I'm bad for it. The pro coach learns to love selling coaching, and they know that cash is not the only way to be paid for coaching. You can be paid in experiences. You can be paid in relationships. You can be paid in learning. You can be paid in referrals. So there's not just like, it's not that short-sighted, I guess you'd say. The part-time coach understands that limitation creates, okay, so those are like the pro elements. The pro, and then the part-time. The part-time coach understands that limitation creates value. Only having a couple hours a week for coaching makes them more attractive as a coach, not less. That kind of flips what Kate like that's like what Kate was kind of saying, like you're like, I'm a part-time coach, and then you think that there's not, maybe because you're not coaching as many hours, maybe it's not quite as valuable or something like that, but it can actually be more valuable. The personal growth coach learns to love supporting their friends and family with their permission. So this is like, I think this is a great breakdown of these different kind of elements of what especially the pro coach learns to love selling coaching. Like this is like the very first thing here. Like the part-time coach understands that limitation creates value. So there's the personal growth coach learns to love supporting their friends and family. So we have three kind of like almost like pointed, less pointed, and very less like not pointed kind of ways of looking at coaching. This is also really good. The struggling coach thinks getting clients is the hard part. They seek more and more information about how to get clients. They want more and more information on the latest, newest magic marketing systems, and they think that they just need to find a guru to teach them the right way. So for me, I see two things in here. For me, I see this as like as a musician. You know, you might think getting a gig is a hard thing to do, and you want to figure out how to get gigs, or what the next marketing system is going to be able to get gigs, or you know, watching Instagram videos of people talking about how to market music. The pro coach knows that there's no hard part. They love the business side of coaching as much as they love coaching. I think that this, I'm just going to keep going, but the struggling coach tries to please everyone. The pro coach serves people and does not try to please. As it goes into what Devin was saying. And I just want to stop there for a second because I think that this is a really important thing to talk about in terms of struggling, that getting clients is the hard part. So I feel like everybody, regardless of their industry that they're in, so it didn't say that the pro coach thinks that, or the part-time coach thinks that, or the personal growth coach thinks that. It said that the struggling coach or the struggling person thinks getting whatever it is hard. And I think that that's where we run into this this issue, is that kind of like Brady was saying about how working on the business was the part that's the most expansive, maybe most challenging, most growth oriented, the part that's hard, but it's really only hard if you're struggling with it. So I just want to pitch it out there and ask people kind of, where's your edge? Where's the thing that you think is hard? And you're kind of like, if you got Rasha, yeah. Thanks for being vulnerable. I feel like this is a vulnerable edge right here.
It is. And it's like, it's a tricky one because like it is like, Devin, as well, when you were talking about, that's what musicians like, it is the tricky part, it is the bit like, how do you get an audience? How do you get, okay. And it's like, isn't I guess it's like how they define struggling, because like, isn't anything tricky in the beginning when you don't know it, and then you kind of learn it, and then it isn't, but it is in the beginning, like, and when or even kind of like, I don't know, even for musicians who, like, I also know a lot of musicians who are extremely talented and they've been kind of like playing for years and years, and they just still can't guarantee like, enough income from it. And the trick is it is kind of figuring out how to have a committed audience. And it's I don't know where I'm going with this, but it goes back to what Brady was saying, the kind of the difference between working in and on the business. So like just focusing on your music I believe isn't gonna get you an audience. You have to do the work to figure out who your music is speaking to and what they want to hear, and then learn how to speak to them, and that's how you get an audience. And so that's the work that needs to be done, and that's the same with coaching as well. It's like, just coaching isn't going to help. You gotta do that audience work, understand who you want to speak to and how they need to communicate. Oh, how you want to communicate with them. And that's where I am. That's where I am. Because I haven't really made some of those decisions. That's why I kind of think I am in that struggling mode. But that's just because I'm in the middle of my beginning of my journey. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
I think that's great, Asha, and I think for me, and I would wonder what other people have to say about this, is I kind of want to distinguish hard from beginning the journey, like I would say that someone who, like how you were speaking to musicians who have been playing for a long time, and they're like, oh, it's so hard to get an audience, or it's so hard to be profitable in this industry or something like that. And I wonder if they looked at that, because I know musicians like this, who, because they put that kind of that sense that it's hard in front of them, they're just adding to the difficulty level. They're making it more difficult by saying, oh, this is hard, probably because they're not wanting to, there's just more of a chance that they're going to do less of it, be less involved, less curious, have a story around it, have like a preconceived notion of it, have a future expectation just because of the word hard. Just like how in this it says that like for the pro coach, the pro coach knows there is no hard part. They love the business side of coaching as much as they love coaching. So it's this love thing, it's like the energy of love. Like if you really are like, I love this business marketing stuff. I can't wait to get up and do this. I love exploring it. I love learning how it works and how to operate it, how to work with other people. There's just I found in my own life, at least, a much better chance of that synergy is going to attract the people that you're looking for, because you're not going out there being like, man, I got to do that hard part again. I got to do that part I don't like, that stupid marketing stuff. I know it's so hard to make money, and why do artists need to make money? And I wish I lived in a world where I didn't need to make money as an artist, and just that whole story starts to happen. Or like Devin was saying, like when you're he's got that client wants to be a rock star. He's like, but the copyright's so hard. You're talking the label is so hard, or trying to plan a tour is so hard. It's like, okay, well, that's not probably going to help you become professional, because if you were like, man, I love learning about this copyright stuff. I love this talking to the label people, you're just coming at it from this other perspective. So to me, that's what he's kind of saying.
As you were speaking there, I kind of like something kind of went in my brain, and I kind of think I've made a distinction of like, like hard, kind of like, again, like, okay, sorry. It's kind of like an element. I'm going to define it into kind of like, and this definitely was me. So it's mindset, like, so the fixed mindset and the growth mindset, kind of recognizing that life either happens to you or life happens by you. And if life happens to you, you feel like you've got no agency, and that's like when everything feels really hard, you don't know what to do. But if life happens to you, okay, in the beginning you don't know, but it's a challenge, and then you go through it, and you're going to get there in the end. And I think now that's what I'm kind of now, those three in the one, the struggling, I'm gonna define that as kind of like fixed mindset, growth mindset, the other three.
Yeah, I love that. It's like for me, like say I'm in the weight room and I'm doing something and it's too hard. It's like, well, maybe back it off like a couple pounds. It's like, and now it's like, is it too hard because I've just reached my limit and I need to just back it up and exercise that a little bit till I can break through, you know, like there's what is hard to you, like you're saying, is it fixed? Like, oh, I'll never be able to do that weight. Or do you have agency to be able to be like, okay, so how do I strategize? Because I love doing this. So how am I going to break through this wall? How am I going to hit the next level? You know, it's like love just has that crazy power. Like with love, you're gonna like want to get there, you know? Whereas if you don't have any love for it, you're kind of like, well, if it happens, it happens. Layla, nice to have you join us. You have the same problem that Alexis has, where you're on your phones.
Okay. And it's so much, it's gymnastics on these phones. Thank you for hosting again, Neil. I'm happy to be able to join you. And this is so I've been driving to a birth client who is currently in her inactive birth process. So I pulled over. I'm like 2 blocks away from her house, but she was like, no, I'm good. And on my drive before I hooked into your conversation, sometimes I'm just by myself driving for hours. And to keep myself sane, I sometimes turn on my voice recorder and I pretend that I'm this podcaster, which I'm not, but I pretend that I am. And then I record myself speaking about something. And what I ranted to myself by myself was about the difference between support-based models of care and management-based models of care. And I think this can get extrapolated out. So for example, if I, as the provider, as the service provider, if my job is to give support to a woman, which, you know, you could pull that out to life in general. If we're going to support life, or we're going to support our dreams or somebody else's dreams, we have to come to it from a place, exactly what you were speaking to, from a place of love. We can't come to it from a place of fear. And what I found in my own little rantings was that when we come to it from a place of fear, then we're managing. Then we're going into more, and in my case, medical management, which is something I don't touch with a 10-foot pole. Like, I'm legally not allowed to medically manage a woman. I will go to jail. So I have to practice a support-based model of care. And I was ranting away about how, as a support care provider, I actually have to support myself first. It's like the classic, put the mask on yourself first before putting it on your kid on the airplane, right? Like, I have to support myself first to overcome what I might think is hard, to bust through what I might define as a struggle. Because if I don't do that, then I'm showing up to my client with all of my hard stuff and all of my struggles, and I'm not going to be able to support her. I will wind up coming at it from a place of fear-based thought, fear-based action, fear-based being. So I think my long-winded answer is that when we are working with people, and I'm an artist too, so even in my own service as a musician, whether I'm working with the audience or whether I'm working with a booking venue or whatever, if I come at it from the mindset of a management model where I'm the boss, I know best, and actually I'm so afraid of everything that I'm going to control it. Look, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to control this entire situation. it's totally a disservice, you know. So the hardest part is really showing up with the support based model as like a way of thinking, and then thusly a way of being, like we, you know. And so today, this just as like an example of this in in process, if I was managing this woman, I wouldn't be sitting under this shady tree beside a horse farm, hanging out here and practicing patience and trust, and knowing that her and I have worked so hard together to land her in a space where she feels fully supported in her natural, unmedicated physiological process of birth, which we could say, like, you know, you could apply that to pretty much anything, like birth of whatever, birth of your new life, birth of your new job, birth of your new client, birth, you know. So I think the hardest part is it's really not. I love how you pointed out that the pro coach doesn't see that there's a hard part, you know, that you just, if I just trust and sit in my own practice of supporting myself and just sit right here, then what's hard about this? This is great. You guys are awesome. The shade is beautiful. There's a horse right there. So thank you. And it's so, I just found it extremely cosmically really cool to land in this conversation in a moment where this could be considered so hard to someone, but to me this is pure joy. There's just pure love. So yeah, thanks.
That's amazing. Yeah, birth coaching is like, holy moly.
Freaking next level, like I'm about to see a baby. It's like, okay.
A whole nother little human being comes out of the mindset, which is incredible to just hear you speak about Layla. The whole, not everybody here, I don't know if everyone here knows her, but Layla does birth coaching, which has a lot to do with what she's talking about, like to you know, the management model of the hospital system, which has its own, you know, processes, which she's talked about as well, you know. And then the supported home birth situation, which has so much about a different language model, a different perception, a different mindset. It's a huge personal shift for the mother to have that personal autonomy and that kind of organic process. Different words, the whole thing. It's an amazing concept. The two don't negate each other too, which is she's also worked with the kind of emergency-based systems, the management-based systems of the hospital. So it's incredible to watch those two worlds kind of attempt to coexist. And then what you're saying about that management-based compared to service-based or support-based, and how, and then connecting it to coaching and then to the music industry. I think it's super powerful what you're saying, because as we've both worked together on Moonlight Jazz, I got a little story that happened just before we pass it over to Jane here. We were having some difficulties with the manager of one of the venues that we were working with, and we kind of felt like it was being put on us, that it was vindictive, and that the guy was trying to just to kind of undermine us. And I was like, hey, let's just slow down and try to uncover what's really happening here. And Layla really took the lead on that and went to the venue and just had a conversation that was supporting Charlie, is his name, and coming from a place of love, and out of it uncovered this whole realization that he was, you know, being really cramped by the owners of the venue. And that turned into a bigger conversation about him possibly being a general manager at a venue that we would create. So out of all of this, like love-based, support-based, not trying to manage the situation, not trying to accuse the situation, transformative-based, we saw all these potentialities just kind of erupt. So, and it was
like
love.
It's like, it's expansive. It's expansive when we let go of our fear-based wish to manage in one box. It's actually, it's more, that is limiting. And then all of a sudden, when you let go of that and you do this act of support, it's expansive. The possibilities are endless. Boom. It's very cool. Very cool thing.
Totally, it's crazy, and I feel like that's what he's trying to say about the pro coach. There's no hard part, because if you love and support, then, and also for me as a coach, sometimes I go into a situation, the person who's a client is amazing, and like they have so much of it tied up, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do for this person? And then I am like, okay, actually, no, I'm not supposed to do anything. I'm supposed to like listen and wait and let them open up. And just support. So and just be in love with the whole process, and the person. Jane.
First of all, Layla, that's just absolutely awesome. I've got this thing I'm pushing at the moment. I'm trying to do a bit of research with people on, which is about leading with love. What you're saying speaks so much to what I'm, putting out there too. This whole idea of coming from that point of service. I love it. Absolutely love it. I'd love to talk more to you about that, because that is just fabulous. And what I was thinking when I put my hand up has already kind of been said, because I had this sudden aha, which is struggling a coach or struggling person is a mindset thing. If you believe you're struggling, you are. And if you believe you're not, you're not. And the other thing that I was sitting in there and I was looking in there, I was thinking, no, I don't go out there to make life easy for people. I don't go out there. In fact, the most recent review I had, which was flipping amazing, basically said this person will challenge me and I still feel safe. So I suddenly had this big aha moment about, no, I don't need to own this struggling mindset. I'm not a struggling coach. And I think that's the deeper story in this chapter, isn't it? It's not about what level you're on. It's about, as Devon, I think, was saying, about the mindset that you come into it with. And that's incredible. But it was just, I think it has been said, but it's just like, I needed to share that aha moment was there with me. But I just needed to say, Layla, I love everything you just said. That's made me really smile. Thank you.
I love the aha moments. Yeah. If anyone here or on the internet gets an aha moment from any of this stuff, please express the aha moment. That's the real supercharged stuff. It goes beyond language a lot of the time, It's like some deeper shift that's not necessarily easy to describe. It's fantastic. Alexis, I'm very happy to hear now that you're not muted. You've got your
I can chime in. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this is like really vulnerable. I really see all of you. Thanks for sharing. The hardest part, it's like a pretty edgy thing to talk about. And so I've just been like, what is hard for me? I've been really trying to like find it, even just like listening to all of you. I'm like, what is it? It could be that, could be that, could be that. And I think that the hardest part for me personally is like managing my passion, right? It's like I'm so fucking passionate about doing this work in the world that it's like hard for me to slow down. And I talked to Devin about this, was it yesterday? Day before. And it's like there's the resistance, like, right? It's like we're talking about like the struggling coach. It's like the resistance to like where you currently are, like what your position currently is. And so that comes back into the personal growth coach of like, can I manage myself, as Brady was talking about, as an identity? Like, can you manage the resistance? Can you come back to patience? Can you come back to the love of just being in your authenticity? Come back to your passion and know you're like right on time, and like slow down to learn the processes that will take you there. And then that comes in with the identity at work of being the pro coach. Do you have the identity to slow down, to learn the processes, to keep it simple, to be impactful, to have a movement? Because it's like this chaos comes when we're just so passionate. I know every single one of you have heard it and seen it in your voice. You're like, I have this like vision for my life, vision for the world, vision of how I can help my clients, right? And that can like give you a lot of energy, but we don't know what to do with it, right? And that's like been a journey of mine. Like, how do I handle my undying desires for the world and like slow down to like, I'm on time. I'm on time no matter where I'm at. I'm going to keep going. And then that ties in the commitment piece. Can we stay consistent? Can we be committed? Like, is this for a lifetime or is this, it really drives down like your why. Are you committed for a long time? Are you willing to do what it takes to get you there? Right? Like, no matter what. And that's like the pro coach, like, no matter fucking what, like, I'm not gonna stop. Or how many jobs it takes, or how many deaths it takes, right? And that's like, yeah, that's what I want to share.
That's supercharged. Yeah, wow. Talk about passion. It's fantastic. That's great. Just flooding the chat with fire. That's great. And it is, I can relate to that when I'm just chomping at the bit sometimes where, you know, my vision for the future, my vision for what I'm doing, and my desire to enroll people in the experience is, you know, it keeps me up at night. I'm like, hit manic highs with it,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm lucky that I'm not manic depressive. I don't go down and just go up and then back to like the same. Just like, whoa, okay, I'm back. Whoa. It's trippy sometimes. I talk to Layla about it. I'm like, I'm feeling a little manic right now. I'm having some pretty crazy visions. Like, I know where I want this to go. So how do I put this into words? How do I put this into a system? How do I make this like into a reality? Because right now it's pure fire vision. So yeah, and that's years. I really relate to what you're saying too, Alexis, about the long-term commitment, being able to harness that energy and hold it down, keep using that why as like a grounding rod and stay tethered to reality and the incremental process, just moving along and making your dreams reality and staying committed and having that identity like you were saying. So I think that's fantastic. And I can feel your fervor. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a lot of fire.
That's great. That's great. I feel like you and Devin are like water and fire. He's like super calm, chilling. I don't know what he's like off camera, but it's like it's a good balance. That's great. I'm happy that you guys are all fantastic. Okay, I'm going to try for a few minutes here to go further down into this. Yeah, Burn It Baby is right. Okay. So, considering what you just said, Alexis, I think that this is great, kind of where we go next with this. So we talked about this. The struggling coach tries to please everyone. The pro coach serves people and does not try to please. The struggling coach wants to be comfortable. They want to be liked. They people please. This is for me, it's so subtle now too. I still talk to Nick about this, how sometimes I still just want to be liked, which is weird. And they wonder why their clients miss sessions and don't show up. The pro coach knows that being uncomfortable is the only way to grow. And because they create such powerful agreements, their clients never miss or are late for a session. I think this is so true for all of us in any industry, being uncomfortable. I was saying to one of my students recently, one of my drum students, he's like 21. He was just like in New York. And I was like, if you spend the next 10 years feeling uncomfortable, by the time you hit 30, you're just going to be so good and you're going to have a massive network. So being uncomfortable, you know, and a lot of, I think the school system and, you know, the family systems out there, even your friend systems can sometimes be like, being uncomfortable is cool if it's comfortable. But, you know, but being actually uncomfortable, like, whoa, this sucks, is, it's looked down upon in our society. It's looked at as almost like a failure. But I don't see that to be true. I think that I try and throw myself into some really incredibly uncomfortable situations, and it's the place of extreme growth. And then, like Alexis, like you were saying, the struggling coach has huge dreams that overwhelm them. The pro coach has huge dreams and takes tiny steps every day. That incremental approach, can be crazy when you're putting all of your fire into every single step, but do it. Don't stop, because it's really the way forward. I really liken that to the gym. I put all my fire into every one of those reps. And, sometimes it takes a couple of weeks before I'm really moving something more than the weight that I'm working with. But it does happen. They do make the gains. The struggling coach is scared to ask for money or to state bold fees because they're afraid of rejection. The pro coach knows that there's no such thing as a high-paying client. Your fees are just a filter for the clients you'd love to coach. I think this is so true in the coaching industry, but I think it's also true for the music industry or for any other industry. Like Layla knows this full well, like to be on the stages you want to be on, it costs a certain money. People need to pay you a certain amount of money for you to be, me too, like your money, what's the festival or what's the bar or whatever the venue willing to pay you, that is your own interview of them and their filter and their audience and what they've been able to create for themselves. So I'm just gonna stop it here because I think that's kind of just to kind of end on some of these ideas about dreams. I like how bold Alexis was about her fervor there and that her dreams and how passionate she is about it. And I want to just kind of spread that energy around this room as we kind of like end this session and hear about some of the things that you guys, some of the like this. If you've gotten the email, you know that the code name of this group is the Hummingbird Society. So if you got the original email, that you know that a hummingbird does what is considered impossible. So I would love just to announce to the world some of your dreams and what you would like to see. What tiny steps, what is hard for you to take tiny steps to do? What is so big that putting it into tiny steps is hard? I would love to hear any of your guys' dreams or visions.
I'll go.
Yes. Yeah, heck yeah. I was just gonna sit here till someone popped. I was like, I know you guys have dreams, so
I've popped. So what I'm noticing today, and I was on something the Moritz Lambert Moritz anyway, it was another coaching thing earlier when I was listening. I was part of something, and it's been an evening of reflection, and it's just so important to remember how far you've come. And I've talked here before about my mute story. That's just one of about half a dozen stories that I've been living by. And at the minute I'm on an edge and I'm ready to do something, but I'm scared. So just in that moment, I'm like, look how far I've come. And what I need to do now is actually, in the big scheme of all the things that I've already done in my life, had 2 children, you don't even think about it. You just think, oh yeah, I'll have kids. And you have no idea what it's going to be like and what an adventure is going to be and how hard and how up and how down, but you just do it. And so, like, in comparison to that, and in comparison to, I can say this out loud, being ejected from a relationship that I thought was happy, unexpectedly, I did that and I was okay with that. And I went and bought a house and, you just do. So this in comparison suddenly feels, the next thing that I need to do feels like so simple. So why am I letting all these thoughts come in? I'm choosing them. But now I'm sort of zoomed out. I like to, and I talk about that with other people. Well, zoom out. How does it look? And here I am now. I'm like, okay, I'm zooming out. And how does it look? And it looks like a thimble propped up against a massive mountain rather than the mountain that it looked like about an hour and a half ago. So that's good.
That's amazing. So tell me what it is. Do you want to talk about your dream, or do you want to express it?
So I have and yeah, this is quite major. So I've created an experience, a recharge experience in Cornwall for people to recharge and let go of stories and move forward in a way that, defrost them so they're not stuck anymore. And it's going to be in Cornwall, and it's going to be on the North Coast in the most incredibly sandy feet are okay luxury hotel. And I'm nervous about inviting people. Nervous even talking about it. And I've just sat here and thought, but when I go there for one night and it's incredible. And I'm basing it around my son, who has a great life in London. And then 3 times a year, he comes home for Cornwall for like 3 or 4 nights, recharges, and then he goes back to his life. And he needs that. So it's based around that, really. So I've just been thinking about how it looks and how I can, what a privilege it will be for those people to be invited to this rather than being small and, oh, I've got this thing. And so this is like a good, if you say it out loud, the more you say it out loud, the more easy, sorry, my grammar's appalling, the easier it will be to, yeah, and it's, the conversation I was having just now when I was a part of another group. So I've like the past, I'm okay with the past. That's, sort of just dealt with, really. And I'm good at presencing, but also I'm bringing a little bit of doubt in. So how is my future? Actually, there's some doubt in it at the moment. Okay, that's the thing I need to be letting go of. So I don't need to have doubt, because I'm flipping incredible, all the things I've done so far. So I got this.
You do, and I want, yes. And I would love to see you bring it to the Steve Hardison says, play full out, Kate. Go 100% into it. You got this. You 1000% have this. I think you have it so much that it's a little bit difficult to realize just how much you have. Opening up to that is that's what's really happening there. I'm going to give the closing statements here to Layla.
Kate, you're so cool. Just PS. You're the coolest lady. Like, I can't wait to meet your face in person. But this is a very tiny story, and it's one I heard a long time ago, and it just came to me when you were talking. Oh, I'm like on the side of a road. Let me roll up my windows. So loud. It came to me when you were talking about like this. You're like, just even saying it out loud is like, ooh. There's this indigenous story in BC, and I don't remember which people it comes from, but it's a story about the caribou and how the caribou take this tremendous journey in their migration every year. And lo and behold, caribou mamas just pop their caribou babies out on the way. And one day, the little caribou baby is born, and the mom's immediately like, you got to get up and walk. And the caribou baby's like, taken one step, taken two steps, and these are its first steps. And these steps are tentative and they don't know what's around the next corner and they don't know what's over the next mountain. And they've never lived before. So they have no fucking idea like what's out there. And they're taking one little step at a time. And they stop and they're like, Mom, like this is ridiculous. Like, when are we gonna be there? This is so hard. This is so long. Where are we even going? Like, what is the point of all of this? And what is the big deal about that giant whatever field of strawberries? I don't know, whatever they're going to go, munch on. And the mom looks down and says to the baby caribou, just take one step at a time and don't worry about where you're going. Don't worry about the end game. Don't worry about the place that's out there that is this unknown to you. Just one step at a time. And in the story, this it's like one of those meta stories where it's like a story within a story, and it's a grandpa telling his grandson, because the grandson's getting impatient about this fishing trip. So the grandpa's saying basically, don't worry about when you catch the fish. Don't worry about when we're going to get to that ripe fishing grounds that I know about. Don't worry about that. Just be right with every single little step of the way, and I've used that with my kids and my own self. Sometimes I just have to remind myself that it's like one step in front of the other. That's it. That's all there is. So love you, Kate. Wish you, blessing you with all the success. Okay, muting myself.
I think that's a perfect way to end the session here, everybody. Thanks again for showing up and also for being so courageous, because there are people who watch this and are not in the session. So it's being heard and seen. And you guys are the leaders right at the forefront. So thank you so much for being here once again to create such a lovely time. See you guys next week.
Yeah, Neil.
You.
Thank you.